Coming when called is one of the most important safety behaviors you can teach your dog. It's especially challenging for the dog because in order to be successful, they have to ignore the super exciting environment and come running back to someone they have access to all the time. Because that's such a high value, challenging behavior, we have to make sure to pay them appropriately. We recommend having a super special recall treat which comes out every time you practice and not at many other times. Some dog favorites are canned chicken, tuna, tripe, liverwurst, and meat baby food, not your standard dog treats. Some other prep work you should do before training a recall behavior is to make sure that your dog has really strong name recognition. Being able to get their attention is the first step in training a successful recall behavior. In this video, I have Pidge on a long line to facilitate some more space. She's very good at this behavior, so I know she can be successful on a long line, but you can always start this exercise on a regular leash or in the house. To practice the cookie toss game, drop a piece of kibble in the grass to get some space, say their name, their recall cue, and start backpedaling away from them. When they get to you, feed them a stream of their favorite treats. Don't just give them one treat and move on, give them a fine dining experience. You should also reach for their harness while you feed them. If your dog doesn't like to be reached for or likes to play keep away, you'll have a hard time getting them back on leash in an emergency situation. So it's good to just make it part of coming when called. Perhaps one of the most important pieces of recall is what the consequences of coming when called are for your dog. If it's always time to go inside or leave the park, then that's a surefire way to ruin the behavior. Practice calling them, rewarding them, and then rewarding again by letting them return to whatever it is they wanted to do in the first place. Pidge likes to run around and sniff, so I often say, "Okay, go," after rewarding her. Here you'll see me hesitate before I call her. The reason is I see her eating something off the ground, and I don't think she'll be successful in coming when I call her while she's eating. So I don't want to ruin that cue by calling her before she's ready. In this exercise, I make it a little more challenging by taking something that she's really excited by, calling her away from it, but then after I reward her, I let her go right back to that exciting thing, which is playing. Right here, I'm going to call her again, and she doesn't actually come as soon as I call her, but I don't repeat the cue. Just wait and let them think about it. Even if they come back and it's delayed, reinforce like normal. If you do have to repeat the cue, change something to make it easier for them before you do that. Either move closer or take away some of the distraction. And watch your tone. Just because you're frustrated doesn't mean you should portray that in your voice. I would not come running towards someone that seemed mad at me. In this next clip, I'm working on the speed of her recall. We call this exercise restrained recall, and you'll need a second person. While your helper holds your dog on a short leash or harness, get your dog excited by saying their name, playing with them, or whatever makes them tick. Your helper should hold on to them until you've stopped running away and called your dog. If they were properly excited, they'll come sprinting toward you. When they do, give them a 30-second treat and toy party when they get to you. You can modify this game without a second person simply by running away from your dog before you call them, even if that prompts them to run toward you before you call. Think about picking a new cue to train this behavior. If there's an old one that you've continually repeated without reinforcing or managing the environment to set your dog up for success, it's likely that that cue has become unimportant white noise to your dog. Recall practice is just rehearsal for an emergency situation that hopefully never comes. Don't put your dog in a situation that you think might be too distracting for them to come when called. Only gradually increase distraction levels so that they can be successful, and get plenty of random practice in very easy scenarios as well. Think of recall like a bank account into which you need to continue making deposits. Always reward liberally when they respond to the cue. It's not about what they think you have to reinforce them in the moment, it's about how you've reinforced them the hundreds of times that you've practiced in the past. Ask yourself, have I deposited enough money into my dog's bank account to make this withdrawal? If the answer is no, continue practicing these exercises.